This is Food Talk for Health, because you really are what you eat. Here is your host, Tonia King.
On Food Talk for Health, we talk about food as medicine, nutrition, holistic health and wellness, and a lot more. And each week, my guests share their knowledge and passion for what they do, and I'm happy to be able to share it. My guest today is Dr. Michael Greger. Today we're talking about the revised and updated edition of How Not to Die. Thanks for joining me, Dr. Greger. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
So happy to be back.
Tell me, what's different about this one?
Oh, well, the evidence supporting the extraordinary power of healthy choices has really only gotten stronger over the last decade, but there really are some highlights. One great example is Dr. Ornish's landmark Alzheimer's reversal study published last year, a randomized controlled clinical phase 2 trial randomizing men and women with early-stage Alzheimer's to the same healthy plant-based diet and lifestyle that he used to reverse heart disease. And in this study, in the control group that made no changes, 100% stayed the same or got worse, whereas in the diet and lifestyle group, 70% of those with early-stage Alzheimer's stayed the same or got better, a significant improvement in cognition 6 months later. So the bottom line is that we have tremendous power over our health, destiny, and longevity, and that the vast majority of premature death and disability is preventable with a healthy enough diet and lifestyle.
I was going to say, it's really all about what we eat, isn't it?
It's so true. According to studies on identical twins, only about 25% of the difference in lifespan between people is due to genetics. So for what we can do over the majority of which we may have sub control, we can look to the blue zones, these areas of exceptional longevity around the world, where they all center their diets around whole plant foods. So minimizing processed foods, meat, dairy, sugar, eggs, salt, while maximizing fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, these beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils, nuts and seeds, mushrooms, herbs, and spices, basically real food that grows out of the ground. These are our healthiest choices.
It's amazing how people reference the blue zones, because these people have been living really long, right? Like over 100, most of them.
Oh, well, that they have up to 10 times the rates of so-called centenarians, those that live triple-digit lives, over 100. And the longest-lived population is actually a red, white, and blue zone right here in the United States, in Loma Linda, California. The Seventh-day Adventist vegetarians actually lived longer than any documented longevity studies anywhere in the world. And so between 13 and 16 years longer than everybody else. And so it's like, wow, what are you doing? And so, yes, they are moving. They're not smoking. They have social connection. But probably the most important thing they're doing is they're eating the healthy foods, these foods from fields, not factories, these unprocessed plant foods, and are benefiting because of it.
All of their produce isn't organic all the time, is it?
No, it's not. In fact, there was, in the original How Not to Die, I talk about this modeling study in which they estimated that if half of Americans just ate a single more serving of fruits or vegetables, we would prevent every year 20,000 cases of cancer. That's how powerful produce is. But because they were talking about conventional produce, pesticide-laden produce, that additional pesticide burden on the American public would cause 10 cases of cancer. So overall, we would just prevent 19,990 cases of cancer. So that gives you a perspective about the tremendous benefit of fruits and vegetables versus the tiny bump in risk. Now you say, wait a second, why accept any risk at all? Choose organic. Best of both worlds. Great, but we should never let concern over pesticides prevent us from stuffing our face with as many fruits and vegetables as possible.
I think that's great. Now let's get into some details. What are some of your favorites that we should think about eating as far as vegetables and fruits?
Well, I have this daily dozen checklist of all the healthiest of healthy foods I encourage people to fit into their daily routine. So not just kind of fruits, vegetables in general, but specifically, I want people to eat berries every day, the healthiest fruits. Dark green leafy vegetables, the healthiest vegetables. Nuts every day, the healthiest snack. Legumes, beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils, the healthiest source of protein. A tablespoon of ground flaxseed, quarter teaspoon of turmeric, on down the list. It's available as a free app on iPhone, Android. People can track their progress. Your listeners can search for Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen.
I love that. The Daily Dozen. And that's different from
The Dirty
the
Dozen. Yes.
Dirty Dozen. You took the words
No,
right out of my
yeah,
mouth. The Dirty Dozen, the apples and the strawberries and the celery.
yeah. That's Environmental Workings Group talking about most pesticide-laden foods. But again, even the worst of the worst, like the strawberries and Chilean imported grapes, it would still behoove your health. It would still be healthier to eat those foods than to not. But if you are going to choose organic for some foods, there are certain foods that are more important than others. So, for example, broccoli is not a very pesticide-laden food. Bugs don't like broccoli, and so the difference in pesticide residues between organic broccoli and conventional broccoli is actually not that much. Now, it's still an issue for pesticide applicators in the field, people that living in these these agricultural communities that are applying these pesticides, still makes a difference to them. But in terms of at a consumer level, there's some foods that are less important.
How do we determine what is right for us, for each of us? Is there a way to figure that out?
Well, I mean, in general, I mean, it's true. Some people have, allergies that literally life-threatening allergies where,
Right.
a PB&J could be the end of somebody's life. But in general, I mean, we really have much more in common than we have
That's
different. There are
true.
certainly things, so right, someone with calcium oxalate kidney stones really needs to be concerned about, spinach, Swiss chard, beet greens, some really high oxalate foods. And look, people, can't digest lactose. There's different options for them. But in general, I mean, it's really the same things apply. Eating more fruits and vegetables, eating less processed foods, less, soda, processed meat, things like that. It's really kind of healthy across the board. Now, given people's genetics, things can be more or less healthy, but it's not like if there's one food that's like, with the exception of allergies, that's like good for some people, bad for others. But
Right.
some people just have additional benefit, or foods are particularly bad, given a bad family history. And so, yeah, in general, I mean, people don't like kind of boilerplate, like, advice. They want personalized advice.
Right.
There's a whole
Right.
industry trying to,
Right.
but, and, there is some truth to that. Some people metabolize caffeine more or less, depending on their genetics. But in general, it really comes down to kind of the same basic principles of healthy living.
So, would you say that all the new research is what changed your perspective?
Oh, well, I learn as much writing these books as people get reading them. It's not like I learned any of this in medical school, right? I mean,
Yeah.
most doctors just never taught about the impact health and nutrition can have on the course of illness. So they graduate without this powerful tool in their medical toolbox. Although, look, there's institutional barriers as well, lack of, time, lack of reimbursement. A lot of doctors just aren't paid for, counseling people on how to take better care of themselves. And look, drug companies also play a role in medical education and practice. You can, ask your doctor when the last time they were taken out to dinner by Big Broccoli. It's probably been a while, right? So yeah.
Now, you did a cookbook.
Oh yes, I have three cookbooks out now. Latest cookbook came out spring of this year.
Let's talk
So yeah,
about
we
some of the
did.
recipes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not. I found it's just not enough to give people information, right? Needed to make a practical kind of day-to-day grocery store kind of style guide to, finding ways to incorporate some of these healthy foods into people's lives. So we started this series of cookbooks, and not just every recipe is healthy, but every single ingredient in every single recipe is healthy. So you would say, wait a second, how do you make something salty without salt or sweet without sugar? Well, those are some of the challenges that we face, and I'm really happy with the feedback we've gotten. And so, yeah, the first one did so well. They were like, all right, I guess, every time I do another book, we got to have a kind of an accompanying cookbook. And so there's the How Not to Die cookbook, the How Not to Diet cookbook, and the How Not to Age cookbook, which came out in the fall next year. Next a year from now, my next book is called How Not to Hurt on Lifestyle Approaches to Pain Management.
Ooh.
And in 2020, what, I guess seven, there'll be a How Not to Hurt cookbook, I guess.
I would think then you like to cook.
Well, It's funny. It's funny. I love cooking. I'm very pressed for time. So I do a lot of batch cooking.
Right.
And so, yeah, I eat a lot more kind of basic, I think, foods than most people. And the recipes in the book really run the gamut from, really fancy kind of, holiday kind of meals to more basic stuff. I tend to be kind of on the simple stuff. I'm like, I microwave a sweet potato and sprinkle some cinnamon on it, and like that's a snack for me, as opposed to, getting out the rolling pin.
Right, right, right. Well, that's okay though. That's okay. And it really is fun to have cookbooks accompany your other books. I think that's just a great way of saying, hey, look, here it is in action. These are some great ideas for you to put together, in your own kitchen. Because I think when people have that little bit of a roadmap, it really helps and it kind of gets you excited.
Yeah, I think it's just lifestyle changes can be intimidating.
Yeah.
And I want people to recognize, look, one need not make drastic changes. It's not all or nothing. Even basic common sense lifestyle factors can mean living a decade longer. Right? Not smoking, not being obese, regular exercise, more fruits and vegetables. And look, it's never too late. It's never too late to stop smoking or to move more, to start eating healthier. We really do have the power.
We are talking with Dr. Michael Greger about the brand new revised and updated version of How Not to Die. How do we find you on social media? How can we get a book and stay on top of what you're doing?
You can go to my website, nutritionfacts.org. You can get your book from your local public library or wherever books are sold, and all proceeds I receive from the sales of all my books are donated directly to charity. I just want everyone to enjoy the longest, healthiest life.
I think that's great. I'm always excited to chat with you. Thank you so much for keeping us up to date on what is going on in the world of nutrition.
Looking forward to speaking to you about the next book, and keep up the great work.
You've been listening to Food Talk for Health with Tonia King. Thanks for joining us. Eat well to be well.
Thanks for listening to Food Talk for Health today. We'd love your support. Subscribe if you can and write a review. Food Talk for Health is produced by Creative Voice and Media. Thanks for listening.